going to get to something if you don't even know where you're at and what path you need to take to get there.
Campbell Company has been a staple in the greater Tampa Bay area for over 30 years, serving residents from Trinity to Orlando, the Villages, and beyond.
We're focusing on where you're at, what changes you need to make, what you need to stop doing, what you need to start doing, and what you should continue doing.
Now, because there's more to life than just finances, let's go beyond the money.
It's all powered by Campbell Company Wealth Advisors and CPAs. You can reach out at any time, 352-251-1015. We have a representative with a hot cup of coffee in hand ready to talk to you at any time throughout this weekend, 352-251-1015 or mycampbellandco.com. My name is Mark Owens. And Jackie, before we get into it here this weekend, I've been seeing these news reports, these stories coming out of Florida. I thought it was a joke until I see another report and another report of falling iguanas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, God, what is going on? Is this real? I thought this was a joke or an old wives' tale. What is happening?
No, I've never personally seen it, but I've heard many stories about it. When it gets too cold, that's what happens is they kind of freeze and they just fall off the trees. So I guess it's like a monkey, unless they hit something really bad, they're going to thaw out and be okay.
This is new to me. Are they dead or are they just frozen?
Just frozen, yeah. And I forget, I have to look it up. Now, inquiring minds are going to want to know. So you just look that up, search that, look it up on one of the chat GPTs, whatever, and see if you can find out some information on that.
All right, I'm going to go to the Googles, but I just want to double check with you because I know it's your realm, it's your world. I just want to see if this is real or not, or if it's just like somebody screwing with me and I'm buying it hook, line, and sinker. So,
well, anybody in Florida, I just walked into a store before we came into the office this morning, and I heard somebody having a conversation about this is too cold for Florida, and they did say a few words that I can't repeat, but they were saying, I think I'm going to have to move further south because it's just too cold around here. So it's been unusually cold here, so it's definitely a shocker for the systems. And, it's like you kind of hear your grandmother echoing all those years where she's like had the heater on in the 90s because the wintertime was, they were cold, their blood was thinner, their bones hurt, whatever. And oh my goodness, I am there. I have to have it really warm now, and I hate the heat at the same time. So it's a kind of a conundrum for all of us.
352-251-1015. You can meet Jackie and the team at mycampbellandco.com. We cannot control Mother Nature, but we can control your financial future with the help of the team at Campbell Company. And Jackie, we've heard some of the financial media talk about how the economy is better. Even the Fed admits that things are improving. But I want you to hear this clip from economist Frances Donald. She says and tells CNBC the economy is out of the Fed's hands.
What is the future of tariffs moving forward, and how will these large moves in markets impact the U.S. economy? How sustainable is that U.S. dollar weakness? All of these are putting big question marks around where we're going next. And guess what? 25 basis point cuts isn't going to bring back U.S. manufacturing right now. They're facing a whole other set of issues in play. This is why the Fed is not in the driver's seat. They're in the back seat. They just don't have the green light from the economy, and they're not actually going to be capable of solving what ails the U.S. right now.
So as Francis says, if the Fed is in the backseat, Jackie, who's driving our retirement plan? What can we control?
Well, that's the key, right? You can never really control the market. You can't control, the Feds can't control the market. The Feds can't really control everything. And I know that we've got our Fed chair, Jerome Powell, his term is expiring. I think it's May of this year, May or June. And I know that there's someone else that has been nominated by President Trump. So that's to be determined. I think that has to be approved through the Senate, if I remember correctly. But, whoever's in that Fed chair position, it's still based on the economy. It's based on a lot of different factors, not just, hey, do we want to, have the markets continue to increase or not? But, we're definitely seeing a lot of volatility. Look at gold and silver, for example, just crazy, rising in value. The futures, of silver, something like we've not seen in a long time. And then you have a big 30% drop, really quickly, right? And there's some shorting of the market probably going on and a lot of money being made, by some of the bigger companies out there. and bigger investors for sure. But again, you don't know what's going to happen next. And the key is control what you can. And we talk about that all the time on Beyond the Money. It's part of our 360-degree retirement roadmap at Campbell Company. And, what can you control? That's another thing is like somebody asked me, well, what can I control? You can control how you're invested, the amount of risk that you're taking. That's by rebalancing your portfolio and making sure that you haven't grown disproportionately. Maybe you have more large cap stocks. Maybe you have more AI exposure in one technology sector. So it's about always realigning and rebalancing and making sure that you're paying attention to some of those risks that you can't control when you get to retirement. Sequence of returns risk, right? That's when you're taking money out. That really doesn't come into play. It doesn't matter the sequence of the returns. If you have losses, if you have gains, it doesn't matter year over year. But when you start taking distributions, that's a brand new risk called sequence of returns risk. And that is like siphoning money out of a swimming pool that already has a crack or a leak in it, if you're familiar with that in Florida. So you're making sure that you're paying attention to all these things. There's quite a few things that we can go over, but that is a big one for certain.
352-251-1015 to have a deep form conversation with Jackie and the team at Campbell Company about your financial future. And I know, Jackie, one of the big questions that you get is, hold on, excuse me, that's me. I know one of the big questions that you often get is, how much do I need to save to retire? And the response from the financial industry, it varies. Some people say 1.2 million, some people say 1.8. But Gallup asked adults who are already retired the same question. And only 12% of those in retirement agreed that I needed $1.5 million. And of that, 4% they said that they've only saved $1 million, but they're still living comfortably in retirement. So what is the disconnect here when people say, how much do I need to retire? Are these financial conversations, is it all scare tactics?
I would say no. Again, going back to that sequence of returns, if you look back the last 3 years, we have had we've had double-digit returns in the stock market. So just about anything you possibly could have made a good return the past couple of years. So that means whatever you're taking out, 5%, 4%, 6%, you're probably making more than that to kind of replenish and keep that bucket full, right? Your now bucket that you're taking money out of or distributions or income out of. So I think the market has worked in your favor if you're a new retiree. If you've been retired for 10, 20 years, again, that always helps. Making more green grass, high tides can always improve our scenario, right? If you're invested appropriately and have a good diversification in your portfolio. But it's really other things, Mark. It's what you spend. And that is one of those things that we can control before, during, or after, any time in retirement, right? The very beginning or as you move along in retirement, enjoy those years. But your spending is what you should really focus on, not just the stock market.
Right.
How much you spend, where you spend it. You've got cost of living, cost of inflation, increasing each and every year. We've had some huge inflation over the past 5 to 10 years if you add it all up. But historically, it's a little over 3% over 100 years in the United States. So paying attention to those things, cash flow, January, February, the first couple of months of the year, that is the first season of your financial planning for this calendar year. And it's the time to be making sure where your cash flow is going to be coming from, because with an overvalued market, you kind of risk that sequence of returns risk and losing and having a leak in your swimming pool, so to speak, or in your financial plan. And that can certainly affect you. The other flip side of that, Mark, is the fear of spending. Many people, no matter how many millions of zeros they have in their retirement assets, their total of their accounts that they have, they still have a fear of spending. Their greatest fear is running out of money. And that's going to come from childhood, whatever they were exposed to, whatever atmosphere they grew up in, or impacted their mindset and their story about money. So those are just a couple ways to look at it. And how do you get around that, right? You can't really change somebody's mindset. I mean, that's a whole other emotional issue, not necessarily how much have you saved for retirement and are you going to be successful, but it's testing the plan. It's doing the math, and that's what we do. We look at all those things. So when you give us a call, 352-251-1015, or you can go online at mycampbellandco.com. That's the very first step in the journey, is having that first relationship, that first meeting, so that we're going to review everything that you have, your GPS. Have you saved enough for retirement? We're going to test that. Can you afford to spend more for retirement? Or maybe you need to dial it back just a little bit, and let's figure out a few things and do some debt management and debt control. And maybe we don't need to spend so much for our kids and keep supporting them way past adulthood. So, having those conversations, having them often, it's not a set it and forget it plan. And that's what a lot of people think. They're like, okay, I tested it before I retired. If they sat down with a third party, a true licensed professional that has the experience, that has the education, and that has that fiduciary act of care or duty of care, and those couple of things, and somebody who's got some hard-won wisdom. I've got over 3 decades of hard-won wisdom. I have seen mistakes made. I have seen mistakes that, maybe I was the financial advisor, or maybe the client, we didn't kind of plan the right way. The goals weren't right, or they overspent, or health happens, life happens. You don't always have everything perfect as you plan it, but that's why you have a dynamic plan with a little bit of flexibility so that we can adapt as the weather changes, as the market changes, and as life changes. And it all starts with a phone call. If you don't have a true retirement plan, a written retirement plan that you're monitoring at least twice a year, then I think you're missing out and you're doing yourself an injustice, especially where the markets are right now. And it all starts with a phone call, 352-251-1015, or you can go online at mycampbellandco.com, and right there at the bottom of that first page, you can just put in some information and we'll follow up with you to get something scheduled.
It's the 360-degree retirement roadmap from Jackie and the team at Campbell Company. And if you've saved at least $500,000 or more for your financial future, that initial consultation, that roadmap's no cost, no obligation. You were talking about some of the steps to a solid financial plan, always thinking about income planning, risk, always thinking about your taxes at Campbell Company. 352-251-1015. We have a representative standing by right now. As Jackie just mentioned, mycampbellandco.com. And I love that you brought up fear of spending. There was an Instagram post talking about the common fears or phobias that people suffer from. And one is called plutophobia, not the fear of the planet, but the fear of money. Now, apparently this can manifest during retirement, Jackie, to the fear of spending their money. And this Instagram post talked about how an annuity could potentially help increase certainty about the fear of spending money. What does that mean? How can annuity help our fear of spending money, Jackie?
Well, annuities have guardrails. And that's just a good way to put it. Not all annuities are created the same. And there are different kinds of annuities. There's an annuity, which is like a pension, right? And like the Social Security income, for example, that is like an annuity. You work so many years, you're paying money into the system, you and your employer, based on how much you're earning all those years. And then based on the age when you actually start taking those distributions or taking your security benefit, claim your benefit, that is when you're getting that payout. So that's an annuitization. A pension is an annuitization. It's how long you've worked, how much you've made, how much your employer contributed, and what they think your life expectancy is going to be, right? If it's a single life payout or a joint life payout. And so that is one type of annuity. Another kind of annuity, and there are many, there are some that have variability, right? So they're going to cost you and charge you a fee, 2 to 3%. Those are called variable annuities. VAs, they're often referred to. I am not a big fan of VAs. If you have a VA, you need to be having that thing looked at because chances are you have a good balance in there and you have an opportunity maybe to upgrade that. So now is the absolute best time to be taking a look at those and getting that second opinion to do an annuity x-ray. That's where you're paying a fee to actually participate in the market. Why would you do that? Why would you pay extra fees? I'm a big fan of being transparent and knowing exactly what fees you're paying and what is you're going to get to keep out of your return. But you're participating in the highs and you're participating in the lows. There's another type of annuity, and this one has what we call the guardrails in it, Mark. That's where you kind of have a floor. Those are called fixed index annuities. Those have a floor most of the time, and they're all different, of 0. So let's say that the floor is 0. Market goes down, you're participating, you're tracking the S&P 500, for example. It's point to point. It's typically 12 months. You're tracking it from point to point. If the market, the S&P goes up, point to point, 12 months by your anniversary date, then you're going to be able to lock in the gain. There's going to typically be a ceiling, so you got to trade off the guardrails, right? So you got a floor, you got a ceiling. Knowing and understanding what those floors and ceilings are and what your participation rate is and what fees you're paying, extremely important. Knowing the term of that contract, how many years. There's typically a trade-off, right? You've got a handcuff for some of those kind of things that have guarantees on them, but they can be really, really good for when that sequence of returns risk comes into play. So definitely I'm a big advocate of those fixed index annuities, potentially as part of a financial and retirement plan. You also have fixed annuities. That's another one. That is where it's a multiple year guaranteed. It's kind of like a CD, but it's going to be 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years. But you're going to get that guaranteed same exact rate of return each one of those years. And it's just going to continue accumulating until that time period is up, your contract matures. So insurance can be very, very complicated. As you know, with health insurance, your homeowner's insurance, your car insurance, there's all those little nuances that go along with it. That's why you want to work with someone who is a fiduciary, that has that fiduciary act of care responsibility, and also licensed with insurance, that's going to be able to pull all those things together for you, clearly explain it in English. And as my husband Scott always says, 5th grade level is best for him. So I like to do a lot of graphs so we can draw that out so that we're really clear on what you have. A lot of people will come in, Mark, they'll call from the radio show, or they've had something for years. They're like, I don't know. I don't really understand what this is. I just kind of take money out of your distributions, or my IRA got put into this type of strategy, and I don't really understand what I'm even supposed to do. I just kind of let it ride. And, that's a common thing. If you work with insurance agents, you typically don't hear from them after year one. Well, guess what? We go through the whole journey with you. Doing that 360-degree retirement roadmap, how can someone say that they have fiduciary responsibility and fiduciary active care if they're not paying attention to all those things as you navigate through that, not just a once and done, but each and every year? And also not paying attention to the taxes. That's a big, big, big thing in my professional opinion, with my experience. And that is one of the reasons I became a certified financial planner many years ago, because I saw the consequences of all of these things, of annuities kind of going rogue and nobody was overseeing them, and the client had no idea what they had, and then they passed away, and there's this big tax impact to their family members that no one really had planned for, prepared for. And now with the Secure Act, it is more and more complicated than it was 30 years ago. So now is the time. If you have any kind of insurance, you have an annuity, and let's do that second opinion. Let's do that annuity x-ray. And it all starts with the phone call. That is the very best way to do it. And if you have your retirement plan, if you're in your 60s and your 70s and you have everything in the stock market and you're kind of looking for a way to, like, wow, I feel like I'm overvalued a little bit in my account. I'm getting a little nervous with everything going on. Now's the time to let's put some of those guardrails in place. And maybe it's not one of those strategies that we talked about. There's other ways to do that, with something that's non-emotional, mathematical, using methodologies. I mean, we can do things now that we weren't able to do over 30 years ago with your retirement plan. And why would you not leverage those and leverage someone who's got the experience and the education and the knowledge and know-how and the tools to get you there? 352-251-1015 or online at mycampbellandco.com.
And if you're thinking about getting a second opinion, you've been working with a big box firm, one of the first questions you may ask yourself is this person a fiduciary? And as Jackie just mentioned, yes, she is. Jackie Campbell is a certified financial fiduciary. She also acts in the fiduciary standard of care. She has a fiduciary responsibility to act in her client's best interest in offering or recommending investment advisory products and services. As an investment advisor representative, Jackie is obligated to disclose any conflicts of interest when offering investment products. She puts your needs above her own. That is the legal mumbo jumbo to keep us out of trouble, basically saying Jackie Campbell is a fiduciary. There are multiple locations of Campbell Company across the Nature Coast. Jackie Campbell, where can we find you?
Yeah, just give us a call, 352-251-1015. You're going to have one of our service representatives answer the call. If you miss us or we're on another call, we'll give you a call right back. But that, or either go online at mycampbellandco.com and just fill out the inquiry there, put your name, contact information, and we'll follow up with you on Monday and go over, where you're at and see how we can help you. And we'll, have that initial discovery meeting. And that is just how simple it all starts. We'll give you a checklist of some things that you're going to need to gather. And honestly, if you've never met with a fiduciary or a financial professional, then it may be a little extra homework for you that very first time, but we'll help you navigate through that. We've got some great paraplanners on our team, some client experience managers. So we will definitely make sure that we help you every step of the way to get all the information we need to start with that really great 360-degree retirement roadmap for you.
And if you've saved at least $500,000 or more for your financial future, that initial consultation, no cost, no obligation. So regardless if you're in Spring Hill, Odessa, or the Villages, there is an office near you. Plus, also the Zoom and phone consultations always available. 352-251-1015. And again, you can always get more at mycampbellandco.com. And I want to talk to the adults who plan to retire this year. You're officially in the critical zone where decisions could decide how comfortable that you'll be in retirement. This year is bringing lingering inflation, changing tax laws, rising Medicare costs. So, Jackie, what financial moves should someone make now to avoid costly mistakes later?
Well, I have a whole checklist of those things, Mark, but the simplest thing that you can do is meet with the financial advisor who's going to be able to help you with all those things. Making sure that you have a written plan, it's updated, making sure that you know what your sources of income are going to be, going through those 4 planning seasons of this calendar year, and making sure taxes is absolutely one of them. It is one of the most painful things, and never, ever, Mark, have I had somebody say they want to pay more in taxes any one year. But Roth conversions, if you're in your 60s, wow, you have the best planning opportunities in your 60s. You don't want to miss them. There's some big milestone birthdays that come in there, and that's part of our 360-degree planning, and we help you navigate through those. In your 70s, you're even further along your journey, and you have some great, great opportunities. So 50s, 60s, 70s, that is a true sweet spot. So if you're in one of those decades in life and you're looking at some transition, I don't know why you're waiting. Definitely planning and prior planning can pay. Absolutely. So give us a call, 352-251-1015. It all starts with a conversation, and let's see where you're at and see how we can help you.
And if you missed anything on this weekend show, Jackie mentioned it a little bit earlier. It's the Beyond the Money podcast, where you can find this weekend show plus a full archive of shows covering all the essential elements leading through your retirement strategies, plus specialty shows, celebrity interviews, and much, much more, all commercial free. You can stream the Beyond the Money podcast from the homepage at mycampbellandco.com. You ready for tip of the day?
Yes.
And away we go.
Now, the Beyond the Money tip of the day.
There is a tax trap when you're looking at Roth conversions, and it kind of messes a lot of people up, and they're not even aware that these strategies need to follow certain rules, and it's called the 5-year rule, the 5-year clock. Having a Roth 401k is one type of 5-year clock, and then when you roll that out, when you retire or move it from your 401k, your retirement plan, there's a second 5-year clock. So starting a Roth, even at a very small amount at a young age, starts that 5-year clock for you. So make sure that you're paying attention. If you don't have a Roth IRA, or if you do have a Roth 401k, before you take that out and roll it to outside of your 401k plan, make sure that you understand the consequences, because you don't want to end up with any of those penalties. A lot of people think that it's completely going to be tax-free, but there's a potential 5-year clock that can trip you up, and you might have a little bit of tax if you were to cash the whole thing out, and maybe some penalties. So depending on your age, depending on those 5-year clocks, really, really important. Tax law is the most complicated thing about retirement. So make sure that you're working with someone who truly understands it. Give us a call, 352-251-1015, or you can go online at mycampbellandco.com.
It's the 360-degree retirement roadmap from Jackie Campbell and the team at Campbell Company. And if you've saved at least $500,000 or more for your financial future, it's no cost, no obligation to you. 352-251-1015. You can meet the team. You can schedule that consultation, see all the services they have to offer from the homepage at mycampbellandco.com. Well, Jackie Campbell, as always, thank you. Thank you for the information and the education this weekend. We're back next weekend, but before we get out of here, let's give you the final word.
Mark, it was so great to talk to you this weekend. Stay warm. I know we got a little bit of cold weather still coming, and
Look out for
you've
the
had some.
Iguanas.
Yeah, you've had some snow and everything, so definitely lots of changes this winter. But if you're at that transition point in your financial life, coming up on retirement, or you're in your 50s, 60s, or 70s, now is the time. Those are really, really great opportunities as far as retirement planning. And give us a call. We'd love the opportunity to help you see where you're at, decide what you should start doing, stop doing, and continue doing for the rest of your retirement. 352-251-1015, or you can go online at mycampbellandco.com. This is Jackie Campbell, Certified Financial Planner and Certified Public Accountant of Campbell Company Wealth Advisors and CPAs. Join us again next time on Beyond the Money Radio and the Beyond the Money podcast.